And we're live.
All right, welcome back. So this week we have another great topic. So the holidays are still kind of here, but the major ones passed, which is Christmas. A lot of folks have gotten puppies for the holidays, or maybe thinking about getting a puppy in, the next few months or whatever it may be. But we want to talk about how to choose the perfect dog trainer for your family. So a lot of times, when we're thinking about getting a dog for our family, what do? We go to Google. We may search rescues. We may talk to family and friends. There's a bunch of different ways that you may choose to find a dog trainer for your family, but you want to make sure that there's a few criteria that you take into consideration when you are going to be choosing a dog trainer, and I want to go through some of those. Okay. So first question, well, Scott, let me ask you this: did you ever get a dog trainer for Archie, or take him to classes, or anything like that, or
Oh
did you
yeah.
do it all yourself?
No, we he went through like six different classes, levels of
Yep.
like obedience from puppy training to like puppy training two, all those good things.
Yep.
And so we we searched around the area, and then we also did talk to some local independent pet stores,
Hmm.
and sort of got a feel for who was recommended and why they're
Yeah.
recommended. And so then also looked into them to see what kind of trainers they were,
Yeah.
and sort of read the reviews as well to see, okay, what's the experience like, and are people that we trust recommending these trainers type of thing. And so we ended up with a group training experience,
Yep.
and it was really good. And we continued with that same trainer for
Hmm.
six different classes as Archie got a little bit older, and just
Yep.
different levels of obedience and that sort of thing, and different challenges, let's say, as far as being
Yep.
out in the park and starting from like in a class group setting inside like a physical location to being out in a park and different things.
Exactly. So you kind of did like started at one level and just kind of worked your way up. And
Yeah,
we'll talk about that, like, choosing classes versus in-home private training when it
yeah,
comes down to choosing a trainer, because there's so many different routes you can go. It can be overwhelming. Even prior to myself becoming a trainer, when I had to call a trainer for my dog, I got on Google, like, okay, what do I do? Is this the right trainer? Or what
yeah,
kind of, I didn't know about anything. So I want to make it easy for you as possible to kind of go through this. So let's jump into some things. So the first thing when choosing a trainer, or when looking for a trainer, look for a trainer who offers what you want. So ideally, what I would like as a trainer for families to start doing before you reach out for a trainer, start making a list of things or behaviors that you want fixed with your dog. Okay. So if there's like jumping behaviors going on, maybe there's some aggression going on, figure out what is your dog's needs first. And then when you go into searching for a trainer, you want to make sure that whatever they're doing corresponds with your dog's needs. So with that being said, you can call in an individual trainer that does have his benefits opposed to group classes when you're looking for a trainer. So, what I tell families when they do call me and they're like, hey, my dog needs training. I don't know whether this is for class or whether I should have someone come into the home. I always tell families to think about it this way: things that are happening in home, you may want to resolve in home, such as potty training issues. Those aren't going to really be resolved in class. Any type of barking that's going on, you don't really want to resolve in class. But of course, if you have a dog that may need some basic obedience, classes are a wonderful start for that, also to work around dogs and stuff. But if there's in-home issues going on, you want to choose a trainer that will come into your home. Doesn't mean that you can't take group classes. I also explain this as well. A lot of times when I talk to families, once this is part of the consultation process anyways, when I come into your home, I try to figure out what's best for you and your dog. And so I'll say, hey, you have some in-home issues going on now. Let's tackle these in-home issues, and afterwards you can take classes with me. So you can always do the same, even though you choose one trainer to go one route, you can always do the other routes later on. But just choose whatever your priority is right now. You want to choose that trainer that's going to be best for you at that time. The next one, which I already talked about, is, are you looking for general training, or are you looking for a trainer to address a specific problem? Okay. So when you're looking for a trainer, again, think about the issues your dog is having. Is it something, are you looking for a trainer that is good with basic obedience trainer, or do you need a trainer that's a little bit more advanced that can tackle a specific behavioral issue? So when you're Googling or you're talking to your friends and stuff, make sure when you're looking at them that for instance, if you have a dog, let's say that has aggression, you look on a website and it's like all aggression, they work and you see the reviews like, oh, it works well. My dog, he used to, be so growly. Now they're not. Those are the things that you're looking for if you have a dog like that. You just want to make sure those the reviews that you're looking at kind of tailors to your dog specific problem, and also on the trainer's website as well. Also, investigate different training methods. There are so many out there. Ideally, nowadays, people are leaning more towards the positive reinforcement training method, where we use a lot of praise and treats. And before, the biggest thing I get is like, oh my gosh, I don't want my dog to be addicted to treats. That's a whole nother lie. They don't get addicted. We do wean them off. But positive reinforcement is also a great way for your dog to learn in a positive manner. There are other methods out there. There's punishment, there's, all sorts of things out there. Again, I'm a positive reinforcement trainer. You want to choose whatever method is good for your dog. The thing about the positive reinforcement method is you're praising your dog, you're rewarding them for something they're doing good. Just like we get rewarded for doing something good, like we go to work and we get paid and we keep doing it. Dog, that's what positive reinforcement is. The dog learns like, hey, I'm doing something great. I'm going to continue doing it because it's good, versus the punishment, So just make sure that, the trainer you choose is positive reinforcement or whatever you think is best for your dog and family. Also, one thing that you may not think about, but is so important, and I pride myself in this, this is my favorite, get a feel of the trainer's people skills too, okay? Because a lot of times, when I go into the homes, or even when you're calling in a trainer, you may have a little bit of embarrassment, you may have a little bit of guilt, you may have a little bit of shame, but then I come in, I'm like, no worries, I get it. And I always tell families like, hey, the reason why I'm a trainer, because I called in a trainer myself and I had to have that same guilt. So my number one thing is going in is making you feel at ease by calling me in like, hey, there's no shame in it, or whatever it means. We're going to get through this together. That's why you call me here. So that's a positive thing. So think about it that way. So just make sure that the trainer that you call in, you get like a good, as they say, vibe with the person. They're into the family. A lot of people do have kids, so you want to make sure they're good with the kids too. And most importantly, that they know their stuff. So just make sure that you really vet in the trainer that you're looking at. Look at those Google reviews. Make sure they're all positive. And again, make sure it's something that your dog needs too. You just don't want to choose a trainer maybe because they're a celebrity trainer or they're the best in a neighborhood. Just because a trainer may be less expensive or more expensive, it doesn't make anyone either better or worse. You want to go with their skill level and make sure that they have the skills necessary to train your dog. And also, if you, I'm kind of throwing this in there too. Also, if you're still unsure about a trainer, or you want to, this is like an inside scoop that a dog trainer wouldn't say, but I'm going to tell you, go to the classes. Go to a class, come to my class, okay? So when you go to a dog trainer's class, you can really sit in and without taking the class and get a sense of how the students are taking in the training, whether they seem to have a sense of understanding or are they standing there like, I don't know what's going on. So that's a really good sense of how, a trainer can, teach and an insight and stuff, going to their class first. Another thing, let's talk about because we talked about the trainer's level and experience. So let's talk about the last thing is the cost. Because cost, let's be realistic. Sometimes I have families calling and they're like, I know what my dog needs. I know they may need, say, private training, but it's just not feasible. I have 3 kids to put through college right now. Yeah. So what can I do? So there are, like I said, there's several things you can do. The best bet is to call a trainer like myself, regardless whether you're going to take classes or private training, and we can kind of figure that out for you. Classes do tend to be a little bit cheaper than in-home private training. So you can start there. But again, just keep in mind, like I said, if it's an issue that's happening in-home, you want to try to resolve that in-home. Classes is not going to fix that. I know there are trainers who may do payment plans. They may do one session. So there's always ways, a trainer's always wants to work in your best interest. So if you were to call me and explain the situation, either I would try to, find, a class for you, have come out to your home, or, maybe break up training sessions that's cost effective. But there's always different ways we can go about, because our thing is making sure you and your dog's okay more than cost than anything. It's not like, okay, you can't afford me, bye. We'll always try to figure out whether it's going with another trainer or management or things like that. So don't let cost deter you for reaching out to a trainer. Even if you don't have the money now, I have had families call like, hey, I know I don't have the money now, or, life's just too busy now. I plan on starting a few months from now. I just want to get a feel of how much it's going to cost, what it's going to be like. So even if you're thinking about calling a trainer, even about thinking about getting training for your dog, now it's never too late. Reach out now. You don't have to start today. You can start whenever,
Yeah.
So, Scott, did you learn? So I know, I see your face. Did you learn anything new? You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, I did. No, I think it's good to like put out those points, right? Especially for, because dog training can cost different ranges, all that
Yes.
sort of thing. So it's, one thing is that, especially with good trainers, if you can at least get their advice on what to do and figure out the cost part of it, depending on your situation, then at least like most good dog trainers that are like, especially in the positive reinforcement world, are willing to at least have a conversation like you do with potential clients and help guide them, right? And a lot of times, we care so much about the dogs and the families that free advice is readily available. And there are social aspects you can find, like social media and that sort of thing, that help you move along a little bit. And then again, we always say it at the end of every video and every podcast. Hey, if you have a question, reach out to Pam. But it's legit. Like, if you do have a question, reach out to her, whether it's a call, whether it's a DM, whatever it may be, because the goal overarching is to make sure that you have a wonderful relationship and life with your dogs and your puppies.
Absolutely.
Right. So
and also, talking about money and stuff, Instagram just started subscriptions. They allow more to have subscriptions. So Instagram subscriptions is another way to take a deeper dive into the things you hear me talk about in these lives. If you're already following me on Instagram and you love that content, so Instagram subscriptions is really exclusive live sessions with just subscribers, where you're able to get like feedback if you're training your dog or how to get started. A lot of times when you have so many subscribers and people are jumping in the comments and may get lost, even though I do answer them all, but the subscriptions is more exclusive and private, and you'll get handouts, training tips and things like that. And it's cheap. $5 a month. So that's a great way to start. If you're just thinking about things, head on over to Instagram and subscribe. You'll see me there. But other than that, you can find me on Positive Dog Training Convos, the podcast. You can drive along and listen. Again, like Scott said, jump in the comments if you have questions. But other than that, we'll see you next week. Bye.
All right, everyone. Have a good week.